Nearly everyone in the world of professional selling or professional sales management is or has experienced the frustration of knowing that they are not selling all that they could and therefore should be selling. This video addresses the top 5 reasons salespeople are losing sales today. Before we can learn to do the right things, it only makes sense that we learn to stop doing the wrong things, does it not? Over the past 10 years or so, the way people shop and the way they select the products and services that they ultimately buy has radically changed. What has not changed is the way people sell and the way people pursue sales. That hasn't changed over the past 30 plus years. So again, in this video today, I want to focus on the 5 top reasons why people fail to close the business they could be closing. Before I give you these, however, I need to ask you to do 2 things. First, essentially, I need to ask you to have the courage to step into your own confessional for just a moment and assess both the strengths and the weaknesses of yourself and of your organization. Second, I need you to follow that up with the required discipline to implement the necessary changes. So the first reason people lose sales is due to a lack of process. Quite simply stated, they do not have a consistently implemented sales process by which they lead their prospective buyers to a mutually beneficial decision. Take a look at yourself and your own sales organization for just a moment. Do you have a process that you are committed to implementing with virtually each and every prospect? One that is documented, and one that is consistently taught and reinforced. Just know this, no one has ever done anything consistently well without having a process by which to do it, without being committed to that process, and without being a student of that process. The second biggest reason that salespeople fail to close more transactions is that where they have a process, that process is outdated. In other words, the way they sell does not reflect the way their prospects buy. As I mentioned before, a number of significant changes have taken place over the past 10 years or so in the way people buy, and that has had a monumental impact on how salespeople have to sell. Now, virtually every sales training program being taught today was actually developed in the mid-1980s. The third biggest reason salespeople miss additional sales is due to their lack of understanding the very technology their prospects use to shop and buy. The problem is the antiquated selling techniques that most salespeople still use were designed to work exclusively in a face-to-face selling situation. These techniques were never designed to be effective in the current technology-driven sales environment. So what does that mean? It means that many of your sales leads or inquiries are from the internet or from phone calls. Yet too many salespeople feel that these leads are unproductive. They see prospects making inquiries via the telephone or via the internet as being lazy, being apathetic, or being only marginally interested. And on the other hand, our research has shown beyond shadow of a doubt that these customers are actually as much or even more interested and are actually closer to buying than those that might be coming in to visit your retail locations. Sales professionals today must know how to convert an e-lead into a conversation and a conversation into face-to-face selling. The fourth reason salespeople lose sales is due to a lack of practicing new sales techniques. Yes, some companies do provide training of some sort, but 90% of that, what is taught, is never implemented, and so consequently, it's forgotten within just a few weeks. Only a very few organizations ever identify and isolate the changes that should be made to the sales process, and then actually practice those changes before implementing these changes with their prospects. Even strictly in an amateur level, you would never expect anyone becoming better at any sport or any activity without practice. Yet, when it comes to the profession of selling, we don't see people practicing anything, anywhere. In the words of Bobby Knight, unarguably one of the most successful coaches in NCAA basketball. In his words, the only thing more important than winning is preparing to win. The fifth and final top reason salespeople lose the sales that they could be closing is due to a lack of follow-up, otherwise known as pursuit activity. Here is what we do know. Only 10% of all buyers made a commitment on their first visit. From that, we can conclude that at least 90% of your able prospects will need some form of follow-up. And salespeople are historically weak in their follow-up activities. Why? Because they don't know how to follow up. And because they don't know how to follow up, they are not as successful with their pursuit activity as they would like to be. Hence, they begin to believe that follow-up is a waste of time, they lack the enthusiasm when they do follow up, and consequently, they essentially fulfill their own prophecy, and you lose more sales. So these are the top 5 reasons why salespeople fail to sell all that they could and should be selling. We know this to be an absolute fact. Now, if some or all of these issues resonate with you, rest assured, you are losing sales. What is worse, you're losing the sales from those people that have already identified themselves as being interested in your product or services. They have either come to see your product at your dealership or your retail sales center, or have contacted you in some way, shape, or form. They have sent you an email, they might have responded to an advertisement, or they might have simply picked up the phone and called you. In other words, your message already went out to them, and they already know that you exist. Simply because of one or more of these 5 revenue-destroying failures, you are not capturing those sales. And just because you didn't capture the sale doesn't mean that your prospect has lost interest. They're still in the market, and if you're not selling them, just know that your competitor is. That means that losing these sales is very harmful in 2 ways. Not only are you losing the sale, but you're making your competitor stronger by giving them the sale. Now that you have a clear perspective of the problem, the question now is, are you looking for a solution? Are you willing to go after those sales currently going to your competition? I can't answer that for you. Only you can. The sad truth is that all of these problems can be fixed. It really isn't that difficult, and it doesn't take a lot of time. You just have to know what to do. And we here at Microseminars, we do know what to do. Just take the next step. Click on the link below and I will show you how easy it is to fix those issues and recapture the sales that are either just being lost or are currently going to your competitor. I promise you, you will be glad that you did.